Times Square, New York City, 2020. The economic capital of the world is facing unprecedented loss. Yet in the grandest of ironies, a shopping mall is opening its doors. 26 years in the making and amid a global pandemic, the story of the American dream is in all reality a $5 billion nightmare. The year is 1994, and the Maryland-based Mills Corporation has something up their sleeve. After the success of Potomac Mills in '85 and Franklin, Sawgrass, and Gurney Mills from '89 to '91, the formerly known Western Development Corporation had eyes on the swamps of New Jersey. In the shadows of New York City sat a 587-acre plot of land, a property that had been sitting vacant since 1961. Originally slated to become a 2.1 million square feet complex of retail, hotels, and office space, Empire Limited, the original developers, instead teamed up with the Mills Group to propose something even more grand. The EPA, however, severely opposed this project, as experts said it would devastate the area and the ecological health of the wetlands, and although the Mills Corporation fought tooth and nail with several governors to get their project approved, it ultimately was decided against, and it would receive permanent protection by the Meadowlands Conservation Trust. The Mills Group initially failed to build on the original site, however in 2002 would shift their focus to the parking lot of the former Continental Airlines Arena, and that would become the new focus of the massive retail project. This time around, though, they would face stiff competition from the likes of the Westfield Group and Hartz Mountain Industries, and although today, November 3rd, 2020, the mall is open for business among a global pandemic and retail closures at a historic pace, the story I'm about to tell you will prove that the Mills American Dream is a whitewashed nightmare of epic proportions. The New Jersey Nets, yes, you read that correctly, the New Jersey Nets of the NBA were largely responsible for the American dream becoming a reality. In July of 2002, the New Jersey Sports and Exposition Authority, or NJSEA, issued a request to redevelop the land where the Continental Airlines Arena currently sits. The Mills Corporation saw an opportunity to retool their previously failed attempt to build nearby, as this would already be developed land. So they partnered with Mack Cali Realty, and the Meadowlands Xanadu project was born. A nameplay off of Madrid Xanadu, a recently opened Mills Mall in Spain that was doing fairly well. The property was an extremely hot commodity, and several massive companies submitted bids to develop the property. Among them were the Westfield Group, Hartz Mountain Industries, Forest City Trust, the 555 Group, and the International Speedway Group, which would have included building an 80,000-seat NASCAR stadium. It would be the Mills Corporation that would edge them all out, and although it was never really disclosed, the Mills' previous success in the retail world is probably what won them the bid, but take that with a grain of salt, that is up for debate. Mills CEO Lawrence Siegel defined the project as a new standard for lifestyle, recreation, sports, and family entertainment, and ground was broken on the complex in September 2004 with a target opening date of fall 2006. This is where the real trouble began, guys, and unfortunately is where the Mills Corporation's involvement in the project ended. The company was expanding rapidly, but was having several severe financial problems, and in 2005 was even investigated on by the Security and Exchange Commission and was subsequently sold to Simon Property Group and Farallon Capital. Just prior to the Mills' collapse, Meadowlands Xanadu was sold to Colony Capital for $500 million, and the project was delayed another 2 years. By late 2008, the project was starting to draw criticism as it continued to be stalled and was also labeled as an eyesore, and as then Governor Chris Christie so gracefully said, an offense to the eyes as you drive up the Jersey Turnpike. The mall was sold again to the 555 Group, who had an interweaved relationship throughout this whole entire process, and they vowed to erase the Mills' colorful Xanadu concept that you saw in the opening scenes and go with the dreaded sterile approach, or as you are seeing now in what I call Star Trek Mall Edition. May 2009 rolls around and the Xanadu is 80% complete. However, construction came to an abrupt halt when the Lehman Brothers, part of the 555 Group, and once again weaved into this whole entire project, missed payments causing other lenders to withdraw from the project, and they ended up losing about $500 million in funding. No big deal. And of note, at the time, the mall was tentatively 70% leased at the time. Also, major retailer Cabela's also delayed its opening until at least 2010 and would ultimately back out of the deal due to the uncertainty of the project. The next chapter really begins as the Manhattan-based The Related Companies offered to sweep in and finish the project in 2010, and the NJSEA handed over the mall to them and thus ended the Xanadu namesake just dropped to Meadowlands. 555 Group, as I have mentioned quite a bit already, was still maintained in the project and wanted to go on an even bigger scale and include an indoor amusement and a water park, and unbelievably secured another $700 million loan from the Deutsche Bank to finish the property. 2011 would start off rocky for the project as a massive snowfall in the area caused a 150-foot section of the ski slope roof to collapse. Later that year, 555 Group would become more involved again, and based off their success of the West Edmonton Mall and the Mall of America, were given the keys to fully take over the project, and the mall name was once again changed to the American Dream Meadowlands, and a tentative date of early 2014 was announced. So to recap quickly, guys, we are already 10 years post-groundbreaking and a few billion dollars in, and one full remodel of an almost already finished mall. 2014 was also chosen to coincide with Super Bowl 48 at the newly opened MetLife Stadium. Problems are brewing for that, as we'll get to in a moment. And the project was also expanded to 3 million square feet. And in July 2012, the DreamWorks Animation Group announced an 8.5-acre water park would open at the mall. Now, To backtrack a little bit, in 2012, the Jets and Giants opposed the new theme park addition, stating that it would cause a traffic conundrum on game days at the stadium. And even though Bergen County has a blue law on Sundays, basically limiting retail availability for religious services, the park would still be a problem, according to them. There was a legal battle with the NFL teams and continued additions to the project would push it back again to 2016, and also the NJSEA committed another $800 million to further finance the mall. Nickelodeon signed on for the theme park rights, and things were finally starting to take shape, and then the mall was finally entering its final stages, and the number of attractions and overall dimensions were staggering. Listen to this, guys. The world's largest wave pool, multiple nightclubs, a 26-screen movie theater, a 3,000-seat performing arts center, 450 retail shops, 100 dining options, 33,000 parking spaces, an on-site bus hub, and a train station. Wow. 2016 was coming to a close, and the project was stopped again as financial issues arose, and astonishingly, earlier on in the year, developers secured $1.67 billion in funding from J.P. Morgan Chase. I mean, the money just never stops here. Holy crap. The project was delayed again to 2019, and finally, in late 2019, the first of 4 chapters of the mall opened up. So once again, if you're keeping score, guys, this is incredible. The final phase of the mall, or the first phase rather, opened almost $5 billion and 15 years later, and if you really think about it, 25 years after its first original concept was conceived. On October 25th, 2019, the ice skating rink and Nickelodeon amusement park opened that contained 35 rides and 3 roller coasters that broke records when they opened. I mean, this place is just legendary proportion at this point. And Chapter 2 came on December 5th when the Big Snow ski slope opened. Things were finally taking shape for them all, and in the beginning of 2020, COVID-19 happened. So, I told you guys, it just never stops for this place. The non-retail portion of the mall was forced to close for safety on March 8th, and keep in mind the retail portion had still never opened, period. It was seemingly evident that the mall was doomed from the start, as major tenant Lord & Taylor backed out of plans for the mall as they declared bankruptcy, and the same goes for GNC and Justice, the children's youth apparel company that also has become a COVID casualty, as many retailers had. So this place had a lot of problems right from the start, and COVID basically just came in and, pardon the language, bitch slapped the mall in terms of their occupancy levels. So what about the retail? What happened there? First of all, in September, there were some restrictions that were lifted, and parts of the theme park were allowed to reopen. And then finally, 17 of the original 450 tenants were ready to open, including the likes of H&M, Primark, It's Sugar, Zara, and Journeys. And then finally, on October 1st, 2020, the American Dream retail portion officially opened its doors with, again, 17 out of the then later determined 135 stores, as the retail portion was scaled back to only 30% and the entertainment portion was going to be 70%. So finally, once again, to wrap up this scripted portion of the video, in theory, 25 years later and $5 billion plus later in wasted resources, this mall finally opened its doors. Hey guys, Anthony here with Ace's Adventures. Officially welcome you to the American Dream Mall. Hopefully you enjoyed me talking for almost 10 minutes there. That was a lot of ground to cover. As you can imagine, a project of this scale really required me to do a lot of research and put it in the most concise way, and I tried not to overload you with too many facts, but there are just so many things about this mall that just are absolutely mind-blowing. The combination of poor planning and legal troubles and problems with resources and the opposition from major corporations like the NFL and all that, and this place is an epic, epic failure. Now, I want to tell you that this is the most beautiful mall I have ever seen in my entire life. I've been to a lot of malls, a lot of places, and the scale of this place is just incredible. However, you have a mall that opened in 2020 in the middle of a pandemic that should never have been built in the midst of retail closures left and right. So it's my opinion, again, this is my opinion, that this mall is already a dead mall and this mall has no future. I am not saying that in a way to be negative, even though it sounds that way, and I hope that I am wrong, and I hope that 2021 is a prosperous year for us all in many different ways, which I won't get into, and that this place starts to take shape. But this is the craziest experience I've ever had in a mall for several reasons. You know, walking through this property, it's very creepy and weird in the sense that there are so many empty spaces in this mall, places that probably will never be filled up. And then you have the combination of the incredible amounts of security that are here. I counted at least 10 security guards. I realize this is a massive property. And also 2 canine dogs walking around. I don't know if they are off-duty officers. I guess you would assume so. And just the massive scale of this project. As you're seeing here, the Vegas-style fountain and motif, which is pretty beautiful. And then you have the false walls. So I don't know if it shows up here on camera, but there are several places of the mall where you come to like an ending point, and there is kind of like this 4 to 5 foot fiberglass drywall barricade up where you can see into the empty portions of the mall that are not developed. And there was some kids that were hopping over there that were, you know, spelunking or exploring around, whatever you want to call it. But given the amount of security that I saw here, I wasn't taking any chances. Usually I'm pretty adventurous, and I actually wrongly assumed that I would have free will of this place, and you know, just from what I had heard from people, that I would be able to kind of just, you know, wander around and do what I wanted to in here. But even though this is a massive complex, they have it covered very, very well. There are cameras everywhere and security guards everywhere. So I had to, just mingle in as a shopper. And I know they saw me filming. I don't think they really cared about that because this is kind of like a tourist attraction. If any of you are local and familiar with the, I forget what the name of it off the top of my head, but the major transit hub there next to the World Trade Center, that big futuristic looking shopping area there, that is kind of the same thing. I mean, New York City, even though this is in Jersey, is such a major tourist spot. I don't think they care about that. Even though this is a mall, I mean, let's be honest, the only way this place is going to survive is as a tourist trap, in my opinion. It's basically, you know, a 15-minute bus ride from the city, and even though it is in Jersey, obviously is serving the New York City area. So I knew about this place for a very long time, and it's funny because over the years, as this place was being developed, you never saw any videos inside here for the most part. So this place was always very well secured, even though it was never open. You saw news stories, you know, trickling in here and there throughout time, but I never saw any footage of it for the most part, and really wanted to see it, and had an opportunity this year, just a few weeks ago, to go see it, and had to jump on the chance. You know, it was one of my little mental escapes to, you know, kind of get out of the house. We're all spending so much time in the house nowadays due to COVID. So I just wanted to get on here and chat with you guys for a minute about my overall experience with this place. Hopefully you are enjoying the tour of this location. I want to welcome all my new subscribers, and hopefully you are enjoying the content. There is much more content coming throughout the fall and winter months. I still have some content from Route 66 to show you, including a few malls, and I recently went to DC and Pennsylvania and filmed the Chambersburg Mall finally, and the Lake Forest Mall in Gaithersburg, Maryland, among several other places. I have quite a backlog for the winter months, so lots of content coming here so far. So that's going to do it. Hopefully you don't have the mute button on by now, and hopefully you enjoyed my tour and telling the story of the American Dream the best way I know how. Just to give you a couple, quick pieces of brief information here. I'm an open book when I talk here and just kind of go off the cuff when I do these end speaking pieces. It's difficult for me to talk in long periods of time. I actually lost my 2 front teeth in 2016 in a pretty nasty hockey injury, so speaking for a long period of time can be somewhat cumbersome, but I motor through it, and hopefully I don't sound too foolish here. So thank you for your support through all the years. We are approaching 5 years on the channel. I could not do this without you guys. If you want to help me see more places, I know there are a lot of requests for places. The best way you can do that is to consider joining my Patreon at patreon.com/acesadventures. We are the DMod squad. We are Dead Malls with Discord, the standard in retail, the only standard there is. Please consider joining us on there. I will put the link to the Discord invite in the description below. And lastly, please make sure you are following me on Instagram and Twitter at AcesAdventures1. I post daily content on there, and I encourage you guys to interact with me on there. I hope you are all staying safe and well during this pandemic, as we are hopefully headed for better times. My anxiety, and I know a lot of your guys' depression and just overall struggles have been real this year, and I hope that you are just finding a way to have some sort of escape. And if my videos can bring you that for, in this case, 26 minutes, then I've done my job. Once again, thank you so much for listening to me babble, and I look forward to seeing you all again soon in the Dead Mall Adventures.